Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner and welcome to Selling Power's Daily Report. Today we continue our conversation with Julie Thomas, CEO of Value Vision Associates. We'll talk about how to reduce the stress of selling.
Thank you.
What makes selling stressful, Julie?
I think what for many people makes selling so stressful is the uncertainty of the outcome, the uncertainty of how their prospects are going to react during different meetings, the uncertainty of whether or not they'll ultimately buy from them.
And also probably the expectations that people have, and a lot of them are unrealistic, where they think they're going to close a sale and then don't make it.
Well, absolutely. And let's not forget that most salespeople, more than any other profession, are paid for performance and are on some sort of a leveraged compensation. So there's the additional stress of knowing that, hey, if I don't perform, am I going to be able to make my mortgage, put my kids in private schools, whatever those individuals are trying to accomplish in their personal life.
And there are a few salespeople who spend the commission in anticipation of a close.
I've heard that has happened a few times, but might not be the best decision to always make.
So what is the best approach for reducing the sales stress?
Well, I think just like any kind of stress, the best approach is in the art of preparation. So if you look at the stress of a specific sales call, what many sales professionals stress about is, am I going to look like an idiot in front of the executive that I'm calling on? So how do you make sure you don't look like an idiot? You do your homework. You have a plan. You have clear objectives.
Well, salespeople also need to be optimistic and hopeful and positive. On the other hand, they need to be realistic and appraise any situation very objectively. How do you balance the two?
It is a balance that sales professionals have to stay in the middle of. And you want them to be optimistic and you want them to be hopeful, but with facts as opposed to, wishes. The biggest challenge that most salespeople make is assuming that the customer is on the same page with them without confirming that the customer is actually on the same page with them.
So what you're saying is that they invest in fantasy instead of investing in the perspective that the customer assumes.
That absolutely can't happen. And then what happens? Not only are you stressed out when you're making the sales call, but then you're stressed out when you're back in the office trying to explain to your manager why the business didn't close after you had forecasted it.
So what are some of the typical stress reduction techniques that you teach your clients when you work with them?
Well, one of the key things that we teach our clients is to confirm and re-qualify prospects over time. The reality is that prospect qualification is not an event, it's a process. And all of our customers are living in a dynamic world. Their industries are dynamic, their organizations are dynamic. And so they constantly need to be re-qualifying, not just checking off the list that because they were qualified at one point in time, they will continue to be qualified in the future.
I find that many salespeople procrastinate making calls, procrastinate follow-up, procrastinate writing a proposal. How do you eliminate that?
Well, I think one of the ways to eliminate that is to look at all aspects of your time management. And are your short-term activities aligned with your long-term goals? And if they're not, maybe procrastination is the reason. And then the question becomes why you're procrastinating it. Are you procrastinating because this is just a task you hate to do, or do you not know how to do it? But the reality is the difference between successful people and failures are that successful people make habits of doing the things that failures hate to do. Doesn't mean successful people like to cold call anymore, do paperwork anymore, but they make it a habit anyway.
What about fear? A lot of salespeople, especially new ones, they are afraid of getting rejected. They work very, very hard to prepare themselves. So it's not a preparation question, it's an emotional management question. How do you counsel them?
Fear is a great short-term motivator. But if we're afraid of being rejected in the long run, one of the ways to overcome that is to make sure that your pipeline is fat enough so that a single rejection won't impact your performance for that period of time.
In essence, you want to go back to basics and manage your territory and manage yourself to reduce your sales stress. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Gerhard. Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
It sure was.